Hello and welcome back. So there are going to be a couple of changes over the next few episodes or the next few weeks. Mostly because I've discovered a couple of shortcomings in my own area. So I'm just like in the spirit of brutal honesty, I've discovered my lack of consistency in this. One of the reasons I found out the reason being is reading the same topic or subject area over and over again each and every single day is a bit tiresome, so to speak. And there's not a lot of motivation to actually do it. And yes, you might be saying, oh, you're supposed to be like highly motivated, like like David Goggins type of motivation and discipline. Like, you gotta do it, you gotta do it. But before you get there, you do need to actually kind of mix and match to find out what works for you. That way you can kind of develop the habit. And I'm not making any excuses. And if you're listening to me, I hope you also don't make any excuses, but you find out what works for you and then you can begin from there. And so I discovered just studying the material about marketing and communication and, sales and whatnot is a bit tiresome just doing it from day to day. And so I decided to, as part of this channel, we're going to mix in a few things about personal development, how you can become a better version of you. That way, when it comes to the studying part and every area of your life, you can be able to, hit your targets. And so from now on, from this episode moving forward, there'll be mixing and matching, so to speak. We're going to do a bit of marketing and communication, whereby the first few episodes should at least give you an understanding of what we want. And then I'm just going to be mixing it up. Maybe sometimes today we'll be doing some personal development. Tomorrow we'll be doing something else. I'm just going to stick to Monday motivation. I still haven't decided how this is going to be. But for now, I just want you to understand that something that I've discovered is you cannot be too laser focused, or you can't just focus on one subject area. It gets pretty boring and pretty tiring pretty quickly. And it's like studying math from Monday to Monday. At some point, you're just going to give up and just throw away the book. And even the motivation to actually do it kind of dies on. Not that we're relying on motivation, we're relying on discipline and consistency. But we're trying to develop habits here. And for habits to stick, one of the ways I found that habits to stick is you need to kind of do something else that you love along the way. Now, so the title for this episode is where are you going, or start with the destination. I haven't decided on which one yet, so probably find out later on. By now you probably know. So anyway, now the goal here, or the main concept I want to get across here that I found pretty useful is, that I've started using now, is actually starting with the end in mind. So I learned this from the books, the seven habits of highly effective people, or something like that. I think was the title of the book. If you can Google it, I'm sure you find it. I'll be sure, if you guys are interested, just let me know in the comments, and I'll leave the book title in the description. And so you find that one of the things that it talks about there, it talks about something called beginning with the end in mind. So I can't just rip it off and just play it here, but it's a pretty useful concept that I learned, and I think this really applies in everything that you want to do in life. And so one of the first things is you want to start everything, and everything that you do, you want to begin with the end in mind. So whatever task you work on, whether it's a 15-minute task or whether it's an 8-hour shift you're doing, you want to start with the end goal in mind. Okay, so if you're doing, if you're working somewhere, if you're an accountant, maybe you want to do books. So maybe say you want to be finished with books of this business by the end of the day. Or if you're a chef, you want to say maybe you want to cook for 100 people by the end of the day. Or if you are doing individual tasks, like maybe 15-minute or 20-minute tasks, you want to make sure that at the end of 20 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever, however long it takes you, there is something that you're doing. There's going to be something tangible, not literally, but something tangible that is going to come off of it. So if you're doing writing, for instance, I used to be a writer, so forgive me for using writing as an example. And so if you're doing 500 words, you want to finish a 500-word article in the next 1 hour. So your end result is a finished and edited 500-word article in 1 hour's time. So you begin with the end in mind. So you start the task knowing that you have for 1 hour to do what? To get the article done at the end of the 1 hour. And so you want to do everything. So whatever task, whatever projects you're working on, whatever activities you're doing, whatever you decide on this journey, as we're going on this journey, is whatever it is that you're doing, make sure you want to be done, and you start with the end in mind. So what is going to be the end product of this one? Because otherwise you're going to get lost along the way, and you're going to get lost in perfection and whatnot. And I'll explain more about managing your time later on, because it's something I'm struggling with. And so that's why I'm going to make this as plain, and share the same flaws that I'm having with you guys as well, so that you can understand you're not alone, and you can also help. You can find out what works for you as I continue to try on this journey. And so you find out what works and what doesn't work. Now, so when you start with a destination in mind, or where you're going, the goal here is like being a ship in the sea, or like a plane going from New York to London, or if you're doing from the sea, maybe you're going from Mombasa to, I don't know, US to the United States or something like that. And so before you actually take off, before you actually lift anchor, before you actually take off from the airport, you actually have to know where the destination is. A pilot doesn't just take off and then when they're in the air, you tell them, okay, so we're going here. No, you actually take off with the destination in mind. And then as you're going along the journey, things may come up. So if you're on a boat, you might meet maybe there's a storm in the sea, the water gets rough and whatnot. And let's say you're just using an old boat, you're just using the sails and whatnot. You will constantly have to adjust the degrees of your boat and use a compass to constantly evaluate your position. And then you can make adjustments so that you can eventually get to where you want to go. And the same thing happens with the pilot is even as they go on the plane, they actually constantly check the navigation and find out where they are so that they can actually not miss their destination. Otherwise, they're going to be a long way off. If they move, I don't know if you've heard of the expression that if you're just 1 degree off, you might find yourself thousands of miles from your destination. And so there's a constant process of kind of constantly evaluating. You constantly evaluate your current position. That way, you can make sure you're still headed towards the right destination. And so using the ship example or the pilot example, and this is kind of what we want to do. And so during the first few episodes, I've given you like the how to, basically what you need to do and how you need to do it. But now we're going to work on a few more abstract ideas to help you actually develop yourself to actually do the things you're supposed to do and actually make sure you hit your target. And the goal here it's not a sprint. This isn't a sprint, it's a marathon. And the thing about the marathon is you need to pace yourself. You want to take consistent steps. That way you make sure you actually reach the finish line. You're not racing against anyone. You're only racing against yourself. And so that's what we're going to talk about in the next episode about who you need to become. But for now, just understand that you want to do everything from this moment on. You do everything with the end goal in mind. So whatever task you work on, whatever project you work on, whatever episode you work on, you want to know what is the end product or the end goal in mind. Create this habit. And once you do that, you find that before you start anything, you always ask yourself, okay, so what am I trying to achieve with this? What am I trying to achieve with this? What am I trying to achieve with this? And then you consistently do this, you find it's going to become a habit. And once it becomes a habit, you're able to execute on it. So thanks, guys. And let me know if changing up this episode is actually something good, or maybe I should just stick to, hard facts and, focusing on just purely the business side of things. And yeah, thanks for listening, and be sure to leave a comment below. Bye.